Dear students, today I am going to deliver a lecture on Francis Bacon's popular essay of studies. Bacon, who is called father of English essay, wrote essays on different aspects of life. This essay that is there in your course of most of the universities of studies, deal with different aspects of studies, its utility in life, as Bacon himself is called to be father of English essay, and his essays deal with utilitarian approach towards life. The essay, as you will see, the of study opens with his typical page style, that is known as aphoristic style. Before going through that first line of the essay, I will like to tell you a bit about aphoristic style. Aphoristic style is a page style in which an essayist talks about something in a very brief, pointed ways. Very much like in a capsule form, that is like Bihari in India. As we see, the essay begins with his proverbial saying, studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Meaning that there are three chief uses of studies. It serves for delight, it serves for ornament, and for ability. Now he explains when and how it serves for delight, for ornament, and for ability. He says their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. Meaning that when we are taking rest, we are boring, we start reading a book, and it gives us great pleasure. It fills us with delight. For ornament is in discourse. When we are talking to the people, our study, our knowledge actually glorifies us. What does ornament do? It enhances our charm. It glorifies us. अलंकार आभूषण का काम करता है. Study also serves like an ornament. When you are talking to the people and you are well-read people, you start speaking in a beautiful way with thoughts that are very good. You start looking smart. In this way, we can say study for ornament. It adds to our charm. And also for ability. When is it for ability? योग्यता का बढ़ाता है. It is in the judgment and disposition of business. When we are judging something, we are coming to any conclusion, कुछ निर्णय ले रहे हैं किसी बात पर, coming to some conclusion. If we are well read, we are well experienced, we take a better decision, a greater decision than the people who are not well read. In this way, we can say study also adds to our ability. Thus, in the first line, in a very aphoristic way, Bacon says, study serves for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Meaning that it has threefold utilities. And in Bacon's essays, it is a very much in all Bacon's essays that he fills us with practical wisdom. He is not like other essayists very much idealistic. He is very much practical, utilitarian. Even a subject like study, he says, its utility in life. Why should we study? Not because it is only a way of life, but it is very useful for life. It's for delight, it's for ornament, and it's for ability. But at the same time, he also says, how much should one study? Then he says, for expert men can execute and perhaps judge a particulars one by one. Undoubtedly, if there is somebody who is very expert in his subject, he can judge a particular thing better than the other people. But as for the general counsels, when there is something to be advised on a particular topic, on general topics, general counsels, the सामान्य सलाह होती है, and the plot, when we are plotting, making some plan, and marshalling of affairs, when we are supposed to control something, execute something better, it comes both from those that are learned. Here, once again he says that learned people, the people who have studied a lot, they marshal affairs, they execute them better than experts. And therefore, one must study as much as one could. But at the same time, he also says that we should not focus all our life only on studying. We spend too much time in studies, it's sloth. If you are only studying fake and doing nothing else at all, it is just idleness. It means you are not taking initiations in doing something. It is sloth. आलस्य जिसको कहते हैं, idleness. To use too much for ornament, if you are using all your study for ornamentation, you are talking only to influence people, using words that are not to be understood by others, but you are speaking only because you let the other person know that you are a well-read person. It is not a good one. It is actually considered to be affectation, means that you are just trying to influence people. You are afraid like people. If you speak something like, I keep to say, I use a saying that once there was a person, well-footed, and he met a person who was making punctures, mending cycles. He went to him and he spoke in a very learned language, in quite शुद्ध हिंदी इसको कहते हैं, and he says to that man, ऐ द्विचक्र वाहिनी चक्र के सुधारक, मेरी द्विचक्र वाहिनी के अग्र चक्र में वायु दाब निम्न हो गया है, अतः आप अपने वायु चूफक यंत्र द्वारा मेरी द्विचक्र वाहिनी के अग्र चक्र का वायु दाब उच्च करने का कष्ट करें. He spoke in such a beautiful Hindi language, and that person who was not well known with English, rather than filling the air, he says, यहाँ ब्रेक नहीं मिलती, आगे बढ़ो. कहने का मतलब यह है कि you should not use all your study just for ornamentation. It itself fine. You did not make it impress on others. And thus they can say, if you are studying only for ornamentation, it is affectation. And at the same time, if you are making all your judgments to make judgment wholly by the rules, and if you are taking all the decisions by the rules and regulations and just saying machika, sthani machika, you are not making any changes as per the requirements and just You are studying it, you are telling it, you are saying it, you are using it only because it has been fed, it has been told, as the scholars or other people have said. If you use all your knowledge word by word, line by line, it will be the humor of a scholar. Is the humor of a scholar. हंसी आई जाएगी आपकी. You will not use all. Should not take all decisions only on the basis of the study. Undoubtedly, study has threefold utilities. It serves for delight, for ornament, and for ability. But at the same time, you should keep a balance of all these. Neither it should be only for ornamentation, only for delight, or only for ability. There are some other things too that need to be added to delight yourself, to ornate yourself, to increase your ability. Then he says, what is the use of study? Study, according to Bacon, they perfect nature and are perfected by experience. For natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study. Study is like a pruner. It's like a gardener. Everybody has some natural abilities, and these natural abilities are like natural plants. They need only to be well shaped, given a proper development, and this work of proper development is given by study. If you study, it will give shape to your complete personality. If you do not, you have the natural abilities, they will grow, but they will not grow properly, they will be wavered. As if a plant is not well shaped, it becomes very much wild. It does not have a proper shape, and it does not have it does not have so much influence on society, etc. And so Bacon says the other important use of study is they perfect a human nature, provided that you have experience, the experienced teacher, etc. And studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large, except they be bounded in experience. Once you have, and that is why you must have heard that experience is the best teacher. You are being taught by experienced teacher, you get the experience of studying all these things, and thus all aspects of personality are enhanced. So, study is like a pruner, like a gardener that gives proper shape to all your personality. Then another important popular thing Bacon begins with, how different kinds of people use study in different ways. The people who are very clever, crafty men condemn studies. Simple men admire them, and wise men use them. There are three types of people that Bacon talks about, and in these three types of people use studies in these three different ways. The people who are very witty, जो चालाक होते हैं, crafty होते हैं, they condemn studies because they know if you know all the things, you will start using them the same as they are, and then they will not be able to befool you, and therefore, in order to make you away from this blessing of life, they study. They generally condemn studies. Simple people, the people who are ordinary ones, Gentle people they admire, but the people who are wise, full of wisdom, जो बुद्धिमान होते हैं, what do? They use them. वो स्टडी का उपयोग करते हैं. They, when it is required, it works like an ornament. When it is required, they have some pleasure in it. All the way they use the study. And so, Bacon says, we all should be intelligent enough to use study as it should be. Crafty and wise men use them, for they teach not their own use. Study does not teach how to use it. It is you who are supposed to make use of it. And so, be intelligent enough, be wise enough to use different aspects of study. Utilize different aspects of study. अध्ययन के विभिन्न पहलुओं को आप उसको यूटिलाइज करो, जानो. How to make maximum use of it. That is what Bacon is talking about. But that is a wisdom without them, and above them one by observation, and that is all you will not get in a day. Gradually, when you keep on looking upon the things, you keep on observing the things, if by study adding all that, you gradually enhance all your knowledge. Now, Bacon use another popular, there is another popular saying by Bacon, the popular aphoristic style, where he says he thinks in capsule form. He says not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted. One should not study just to contradict somebody, I don't believe in you, and in order to make you wrong and prove myself right, I am studying and finding example from different branches of studies. One must not to believe. I don't believe in somebody or something that one has said, and in order to believe it, or if believe it, I am studying something. Bacon says no, one should not study for this. Study is not for that. Study is not for contradiction. It is not for confuting something. It is not to believe something and to take for granted. I don't believe and I have to believe. And so I could only believe if I find it written somewhere. No, one must not. And find talk, I am not finding talk and discussions among my friends and etc. And so I am studying. No, not at all. One must not. What would one study then for? Bacon says, but to weigh and consider. Study to weigh yourself. Study to consider on different aspects of life, different things. विचार करने के लिए, स्वयं को, अपने विचारों को, अपने आप को वजनदार बनाने के लिए और चीजों को तौलने के लिए. खुद को तौलो और दुनिया को तौलो, और इन सब चीजों के तौलने का जो तराजू है वो है अध्ययन. And that for one must study. One must not study just for to contradict and confute, to believe and take for granted. No, not at all. And then there comes another very popular saying, how practical Bacon is. Here you will find is that aspect of life. He says, how much should one study? How should one study? Some books are to be tested. One need not read each and everything very thoroughly. There are some books that need to be known. One must know what is they all about, and that's enough. Some books are to be tested. केवल चखाना चाहिए. Means knowing what they are all about. जैसे जब कोई चीज चखते हैं तो चख के हम क्या जानते हैं, उसके बारे में जान जाते हैं कि क्या है स्वाद, क्या है, क्या चीज है. So is with books. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed. Some there are some that should be swallowed. निगल जाओ, खा जाओ. उनमें जितना भी उपयोगी होगा that will be that will remain with your body and the remaining will be taken out. निकल जाएगा, thrown away. Forage with study. Enough to be followed, and from few to be chewed and digested. But there are some books that are very important, that are life-giving, and these books should be chewed and digested. Means read with diligence. मेहनत से पढ़ना चाहिए, attention से पढ़ना चाहिए, ध्यान से, मन लगा के. उनको ऐसा नहीं कि बेकन के फेज आर नॉट लाइक दैट वन जस्ट रीड वंस एंड यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड देम एंड डू everything that you want to do with them. No, not at all. Bacon phage are to be chewed and digested. They should make a part of life. What you digest becomes a part of life. And so is with some books. Some books should be part of human life. That will be digested. That is, then he explains. That is, कहने का मतलब ये कि some books are to be read only in parts. Others to be read but not curiously. Like novels, short stories. But from few read wholly. To be read wholly, पूरी की पूरी पढ़िए. And with diligence and attention, hard labor, dedication, attention. And some books also may be read by deputy. There are some books that you need not read. There will be some other pupils that will tell you about them, and that's enough. Or notes are there available there, and you need only know read those notes. And extracts made of them by others. The other people have made some notes, have written something, and you just read that, and that will be enough. You need not study each and every book thoroughly. That is what practical approach towards study that we find in Bacon's essays. That is not only in this essay, all his essays. He wrote essays on different aspects of life, like of studies is one, of revenge, of marriage and single life, of princess, of traveling. All these aspects of life are covered in his 58 essays. He wrote in total 58 essays. And Bacon is considered to be father of English essay. Montaigne, father of essay, and Francis Bacon, father of English essay. Then, now, because he further explains that some books also may be read by deputy and extracts made of them by others. But that would be only in the less important arguments. But these notes should not be read of each and every book. If you want to study Bacon and his essay of study is prescribed for you, you need not study the notes of this essay. This essay is something that to be read by you very thoroughly. You can know about other aspects of Bacon and his philosophy, his life, notes on that. You need not read the complete biography of Bacon or autobiography of any other author. You just know what is all about. But when Bacon's essay, some very important essay that are prescribed in your course are concerned, you need to study them with diligence. You can't read each and everything just by extracts of the others. दूसरों के द्वारा लिखे हुए नोट्स, हर किताब का, हर स्टडी का नोट्स नहीं पढ़िए. कुछ there are some essays like essay, some important poems, different genres of literature that are to be read very carefully. Okay? Now, because, but that is, and the meaner sort of books, केवल जो that have not so important meaner but little importance के जो arguments हैं. Books, else otherwise distilled books are like common distilled water, fluffy things. The books, distilled books, उनमें कोई भी चीज, there is nothing that you can extract, that you can take away. The whole of the arguments and the book is worth reading. Then he says, another important quote by Bacon comes here. Reading makes a full man. Conference. Now he talks about different aspects of study. When we study, there are 3 stages of study. There are some people who read. Reading, writing, and talking. Conference. How are we benefited by these 3 steps of study? Here Bacon says, reading makes a full man. When we are studying, we are full of knowledge. It fills our mind with different facts, different knowledge of different things. And when we talk to the people, we are ready to use it. Conference are ready, man. But when we writing an exact man. The perfection comes by writing, and therefore all the students, you all are advised to write as much as you could if you want to get perfection in study, because reading only fills you with facts. When you talk, that reading, when you converse with others, it makes you ready. But when you write, it makes you exact. It gives perfection. And therefore, if a man write little, if you are not writing a lot and you are just reading, you can't get perfection. There are some instances, there are some people who can get perfection even by little writing, but this is only with exceptional talented people. Bacon says, if you write a little, if a man writes little, he had need have a great memory. Then he must have a very great memory. बड़ी अच्छी याददाश्त हो तो एक बार आपने पढ़ लिया, आपको याद हो गया. लेकिन अगर आपकी याददाश्त अच्छी नहीं है, if you are not in a position to understand, to remember something easily, recollect something, start writing. लिखना शुरू कर दो, बार बार लिखो, then you will be able to memorize it, remember it. If he can't for little, अगर बात कम करते हो, he had need have a present wit, तो फिर आपके पास प्रेजेंट विट होनी चाहिए, बुद्धि होनी चाहिए कि आप सही समय पे सही बात बोल सकें. अगर आप बात नहीं कर रहे हैं तो occasionally आपके साथ ऐसा होगा कि you will not be able to say the right thing on right occasion. And therefore, if you not confer a lot, then you need to be witty. And if he read a little, वो पढ़ता ही नहीं है, बिल्कुल थोड़ा पढ़ता है, ना के बराबर पढ़ता है, little, then तो फिर तो आपको बेवकूफ बनाने की कला आनी चाहिए. He had need have a present little, he had need much cunning. तो फिर उसको क्या आना चाहिए? चालाकी आना चाहिए, to him to know that he does not. वो ये दिखाने के लिए he make you feel that he knows the thing that he doesn't know. आपने कुछ पूछा, you ask something and okay, अरे हाँ वही. He will make this clear from you without letting you know that he doesn't know. If somebody does not know, एक टीचर है, उनको किसी चीज की मीनिंग नहीं आती, तो बजाय इसके कि ये बताएं कि हमको मीनिंग नहीं आती, वो कहेंगे हाँ इसको बताओ, इसका क्या मीनिंग है, हाँ वो क्या मतलब एग्जैक्ट मैंने मतलब, अरे हाँ यही तो कहना चाहता था, यस. तो दैट इज cunningness. If you read little, you need to be cunning. That is what Bacon is. That is why I say Bacon is a very practical man. He is not writing anything with a point of view that I am going to idealize my students. Idealistic approach नहीं लेता वो अपने फेज में. Completely practical है. व्यवहारिक ज्ञान, रियलिटी, रियलिस्टिक इफेक्ट, प्योरली रियलिस्टिक. बेकन के जो भी एफेज पढ़ोगे, वॉट एवर एफेज यू विल फाइंड, ही इज नॉट राइटिंग और टेलिंग अबाउट all these things in a practical, in a very idealistic way. Practical wisdom is always there in all of Bacon's essays. Now, he says how different subjects, different types of studies actually helps people in different mental abilities. If you are lacking in one ability, you need study this. The other ability, you need this. If the other, you need study this. He says, history make men wise. Why should one study history? What is the use of history? Bacon says, histories make men wise. Poetry, what does poetry does? क्या करती है कविता? ये विटी बनाती है. मैथमेटिक्स, अगली बात आती है कि गणित क्या काम करती है? मैथमेटिक्स फिटल, ब्रेन को शार्प करती है. नेचुरल फिलॉसफी, दर्शन, नेचुरल फिलॉसफी डीप, मॉरल, ग्रेव, नैतिक बनाती है, गंभीर बनाती है. लॉजिक एंड रेटोरिक, लॉजिक तर्कशास्त्र जिसको कहते हैं, रीजनिंग एंड रेटोरिक जो सौंदर्य शास्त्र है, एबल टू कंटेंट, ये संतुष्ट करती है. इफ यू आर नॉट सेटिस्फाइड विद समथिंग, यू आर लॉजिकली मेड इट क्लियर, यू आर सेटिस्फाइड. एंड सो डिफरेंट branches of study have a different impact on human psychology, human life. If one studies history, he becomes wise. If one reads philosophy, he becomes moral, grave, logic, content. And thus he says, abundant studia in mores. If studies passes into and influence manners, वो आपके personality, it becomes a part of personality. It passes through our veins. There is no, he says that there is no stone or impediment in the wit, but maybe wrought out by fit studies. There is not even a single obstacle on the way of human life that cannot be solved by proper study. Like as disease of the body may have appropriate exercises, as we have some disease, we need some particular exercise, and that exercise cures us. In the same way, if we have some mental disease, we need to study some particular subject and we will be cured. As writer says, Bacon says, like as disease of the body may have appropriate exercises. For example, bowling is good for the stone and reins. If you have a problem of stone or rein, you need having a bowling. Bowling is an exercise that reduces the possibilities of stone, reins. Footing for the lungs and breast. If you have any problem in your lung, in your breast, doctors advise you to practice footing, because when you practice footing, it is supposed to you, once you have to keep all your breath, बिल्कुल सांस भरनी पड़ेगी, and then you will have to take aim, and that will help in curing your diseases in your lungs. Gentle walking for stomach. पेट की कोई बीमारी है, डॉक्टर बताते हैं पैदल चलो, इतने किलोमीटर चलो, इतना वॉक करो. राइडिंग फॉर द हेड, सर में कोई प्रॉब्लम है, घुड़सवारी एंड द लाइक, और ऐसे ही. तो उसी प्रकार से इन द सेम वे देयर इज, एज द एक्सरसाइजेज हेल्प अ ह्यूमन बीइंग टू इंप्रूव हिज personality, the body. So the study helps in developing a man's personality, different mental stages of life. And thus he says, if a man fit be wandering, if you are not able to concentrate yourself, you find your mind is wandering here and there, you could not focus on a thing, let him study the mathematics. Garit padho, mathematics. Because when you are for in demonstrations, if his wit be wandering, let him study the mathematics. For in demonstration, if his wit be called away, never full little, he must begin again. क्योंकि गणित में अगर आप सवाल लगा रहे हो, दिमाग जरा सा भी इधर से उधर कन्फ्रंटेशन खत्म हुआ तो फिर आपको शुरू से लगाना पड़ेगा. मैथमेटिक्स के सवाल तब तक आप सॉल्व नहीं कर सकते जब तक आपका कंप्लीट फोकस उस सवाल पर शुरू से आखिरी तक नहीं होगा. तो इसी प्रकार से अगर आपका दिमाग इधर उधर भटक रहा है, इफ योर माइंड इज नॉट फोकसिंग ऑन समथिंग, इफ यू आर अनेबल टू कंसंट्रेट ऑन समथिंग, यू स्टार्ट स्टडीइंग मैथमेटिक्स. वंस यू स्टार्ट reading mathematics and you get pleasure in doing mathematics, you start doing well, your mind will start focusing on the things. Concentration power will improve. Therefore, if somebody is not able to do it, let him study mathematics. Is it clear? Then, if his wit be not apt to distinguish or find differences, if you are unable to make differences between two things, how this is different from that, how that is different from that, if you are unable to understand it, let him study the schoolman. वो महापुरुषों को, बड़े बड़े लोगों के जीवन को पढ़ने दो, स्कूलमैन को पढ़ने दो, फॉर दे आर फेमिनिन फैक्टर्स, क्योंकि वो बाल की खाल निकालने वाले होते हैं. वो एक ही टॉपिक पे इतनी बातें करते हैं. स्प्लिट हेयर्स जिसको कहते हैं, splitters of hair, they are feminine factors. Let him study them. इतने differences आपको दिखने लगेंगे कि you will easily be able to understand the differences between the things. If he be not apt to beat or matters, अगर मामलों को सुलझा नहीं पा रहा है, चीजों को कायदे से एसोसिएट नहीं कर पा रहा है, and to call upon thing to prove and illustrate another, एक को दूसरे से वो एसोसिएट नहीं कर पा रहा है, प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, लेट हिम स्टडी द लार्ज केसेस. उनको वकीलों को मुकदमे पढ़ने दो. आप लोग देखते होंगे, यू मस्ट हैव सीन हाउ द लार्ज आर्ग्यू एंड टेक वन थिंग फ्रॉम देयर एंड द अदर फ्रॉम देयर एंड देन दे एसोसिएट देम. एंड देयरफॉर इफ यू आर फाइंडिंग दिस deficiency of connecting the things from one to the other, read the cases of the liars, see how they associate the things, and thus they can sage. So every defect of the mind may have a special effect. Any problem, any mental problem, if you have, you can solve it by proper study, and thus they can face. Study is very beneficial for everyone. It improves life. It's for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Thank you.